Okay, good morning, everyone. It's 8:32 on Tuesday, August 9th, 2022. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the town of New Canaan, and this is a hybrid meeting. First item on our agenda, the minutes of our last meeting on July 26th. Any comments, corrections? Corrections?
Nope.
I move we approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
As I said, this is a hybrid meeting, so public comments are welcome on agenda topics scheduled for review and or vote. Comments submitted electronically should be sent to bosdistribution@newcanaanct.gov, and we will read them before the end of the meeting. And are any members of the public here wishing to make public comment?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Morning, Selectmen. I'm here in follow-up to a very interesting comment that Selectman Moynihan made at the town council, where he encouraged people to do their homework when it came to cell towers. I believe Selectman Corbett and Williams also made similar comments at previous meetings. Small group of New Canaan residents, myself, have been working to follow up on exactly your suggestion, and we'd like to share with you today, not review with you, but give you to take really the output of our research and provide this as a basis to help you in your decision making, and certainly make it easy for us to have some conversations going forward when we get to the public session. So if I may give that to you, that's the extent of it.
Sure. Why don't you give them to Tucker?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Joe, you might want to say your name too.
Joe Paulo from Arrowhead Trail in New Canaan.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment this morning? Anyone on from the anyone who's on from who's we have people on Zoom?
No one that's raised their hand.
I think Steve Carl's on.
Six people on, but nobody's raised their hand.
Okay. Moving on to item 3 on the agenda, email archiving, Chris Kaiser. Good morning.
So I'm gonna have Timmy present his last meeting. So.
Yes, actually, we have Tim Malley here, who unfortunately is going to be leaving us at the end of the week. Tim's been here 22 years,
Yes. Good morning.
and he's found the commute from Mare Parkway is
Challenging.
challenging to say the least. And we're very, very sorry to see Tim
Yeah.
move to a new phase of his career. So
Well, thank you. And I appreciate working with all of you over the past 20 years.
Well, thank you for all you've done. We will miss you, but good luck in your new
Thank you.
endeavor.
Appreciate it.
what's the emailing?
Email archive is Gaggle.net. Does all our town archive and email. It's an annual renewal. It's budgeted, no change there annually.
Technology Gaggle.net Inc.
Yes.
So
$5,370.
would this typically be under our contracts under 10,000? I was wondering. Yeah.
I don't know why this is here.
I don't know.
Well, it's
Nobody
good.
always
I'm
comes
glad.
forward and says,
Okay.
I'm glad we put it on the agenda so you can come and
Yes.
say hello. We're gonna have
Yeah. We're
we're gonna have lunch on Thursday in this room, Cheryl. So
Good to get him in here somehow.
Yeah.
That's right.
along with Bill Cap, who is also retiring at the end of the week in the Recreation Department. So questions for Tim or Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Really appreciate it. So I was just can you reference, I know it's for archiving emails, that there's a section here on the service level agreement that goes into safety and speak up for safety, and it's regarding schools and so forth. Are we involved in that as well? Or is that
No,
part of the
big?
contract?
They do a lot of other schools as well. So I think that's what's part of the reason why it's in there.
Okay, so we're not engaged in any part of that contract. Okay, so it's strictly for town
Town
employee
email, yes.
and commissions and so
Correct.
forth,
Any of
email.
our town
Okay,
email,
okay.
Schools or anything outside of that.
Nothing for the schools.
How long do we retain?
Police indefinite and the town is 7 years.
So we,
Lease indefinite.
so that means we dump them after 7 years?
Yes.
It's got an automatic scripted. 7 years to the date it's been sent to gets deleted.
Because I go back and I find emails that are more than 7 years.
Some are stored on yours and anything in Gaggle is supposed to be 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years.
Okay.
And it's for the FOI as well.
And some stuff it may be put on legal hold, so that's why maybe.
That's true. If it's in service, it could tell.
Is this, sorry, is this service used by other towns? Just curious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's why
this
they-
is a
and that's Why
common,
the schools is running there too. They
Yeah,
probably
whatever.
handle 3/4 of the schools across the country.
okay. So what kind of archiving do we have for the schools?
Same.
We use Gaggle as well, so just a separate contract.
Right.
I see. Okay.
And is that 7 years?
I'm not sure what the schools are, to be honest with you, Nick. But they get the E-rate, but we can't be part of them as a town.
Okay.
So we have a separate contract.
No further questions?
Best wishes to you.
Thank
Tim.
you.
I move we approve this request from IT to enter into a contract with Gaggle.net in the amount of $5,370 for the town email archiving and retention services as described by Tim.
Second here.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
you.
Thank you again, Tim, for your service.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on Thursday.
Yes, thank you.
One more.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I think it's as well.
This says Chris Kaiser, so
I'm sorry, I don't.
It's just be the same thing.
Sure, it's
It's a software renewal for less than $10,000.
okay. What does this one do?
This was our infrastructure for the town servers. For VMware.
Questions?
So has the servers, have they had to increase in terms of storage capacity? As we're retaining 7 years, we've got new folks coming in and so forth. Is there?
The email is actually, that's hosted offsite. This is internally that renewal for that piece of software. There's kind of two separate items,
Okay.
Right, this,
but yes, we have plenty of growth capacity currently.
this is more of our own cloud. It's built here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
all like redundancy server built together.
And I see the bill. I don't see the contract. I just presume that's been reviewed by either someone internally or
You know,
legal.
these things that have been year after year renewal, we don't send them back to, we don't send it to
Yeah,
legal.
they don't even send us the contract. It's a purchase of.
It's just a
support.
purchase
Yeah.
order. Okay.
Yeah, it's not a contract.
Okay.
Further questions?
None here.
I move we approve the request from IT to enter into a contract with CWDWG in the amount of $6,904 for the maintenance and support as described by Tim. VM where maintenance and support. Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you, Tim, and good luck. We'll see you Thursday. Tiger now has the rest of the day.
Sorry about that.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, Tiger. It actually says Joe, but Joe's on vacation.
Joe's on vacation, so this will be me. This is for an installation of a automatic gate system at the highway garage. For our area off of Main Street, the access off of Main Street. We're having issues where the gates are being left open at night. We've had people come in, we've got a lot of equipment, hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment there. So we'd like to close this off and make it more secure. So we went out to bid for this work. It'll be to improve the security and the ease of access. The contract is with Eagle Fence and Guide Rail. We'll be putting in take out the manually operated gate and put in a sliding gate with a pedestrian access as well. And then we'll have a touchtone pad and then key fobs for everyone. So we can give out key fobs to the employees as part of their, they have gas fobs already, but we can give out key fobs to get in and out. And then we'll have a touchpad in case we get a late or an early morning delivery. We can actually text that number to the delivery operator and he can plug in the number and then come in. But most important thing is that after hours, the gates will be locked and they'll be locked automatically. So the moment that someone leaves, the gate locks behind them. That's basically our problem. They'll unlock the gate, come in, get gas, and then forget to lock the gate as they.
Tiger, have we got cameras there?
We have cameras in various locations throughout our area, so when we've had people come in, we've been able to see them. Police have nice pictures of who they are, but necessarily they can't find them yet. So we do have cameras throughout the facility itself, and we'll put a camera outside the gate as well, so it'll shine down on the location. It's part of the installation. Well, so we already have a light there, but now we'll actually have a camera as well, so we can see the person coming up and see whether or not, what's happening with access there. But the contract itself is $22,825. We put in a contingency of $3,425 for a total of $26,250.
Questions?
No
So-
further questions.
So have we actually had some criminal activity or theft?
Recently, yeah, we didn't have theft. We had some damage at the transfer station. One individual, we caught him on camera quite well. He had nice young male with a backpack on. So he was there to do something. He tried to get into the new scale house. So he ripped the screens off the scale house and tried to access some other facilities or some equipment. He wasn't able to do any damage, thankfully.
And his entrance was through the Main Street
I think
side?
he came in through the Main Street side.
Okay,
yeah.
and then
There, if it's just a pedestrian, you can climb over the fence, which is a little bit harder, but
Okay.
we're trying to stop vehicular access.
and you're comfortable with the gates that we currently have coming in from
top, they're
Lakeview
locked.
Cemetery?
Yeah,
Yeah.
up top, they're locked. After access, after hours access is through 394 Main Street.
Got it. Okay.
Daytime access is up top, and the transfer station unlocks that, opening a business, and then locks it, close a business. So
Okay.
we're comfortable with up top. It's down below.
Got
The
it.
access is the
Was
problem.
this individual apprehended?
Not yet. No, they just have a nice picture of him.
Well, do we get to see the picture of him? I mean,
I'll
wouldn't
send
that
you
help
the
with the
picture.
apprehension?
I'll send you the picture.
No further question. I move we approve the request from Public Works to enter into a contract with Eagle Fence and Guard Rail in the amount of $26,250, which includes a contingency as described by Tiger for the automatic gate at the highway garage and wastewater treatment facility.
Second here.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
All right, thank you. The next is a guide rail installation or proposed guide rail installation on Heritage Hill Road.
You want to do these together?
I can do them together.
Or
Yeah.
do
It's, well, this is a new installation on Heritage Hill Road, and then on Lapham Road, it's a replacement. So last year on Lapham, we had done the northern sides, and then I ran out of money on the northern side of the bridge. We ran out of money, so now we're going to do the southern side. So both installations will be the Merritt Parkway wood rail. The installation on Heritage Hill Road, we've had 3 accidents in the past 2 years where people are sliding off the road. If you're coming down Heritage Hill Road, if you're heading north and then heading to the east to try to get down to Forest Street and Parade Hill Road, there's a curve in the road just past Drummond, and people are not navigating that curve and then sliding across into the front lawn of the house that's there. So, and speaking to the deputy chief, it was brought to our attention by the residents. Mo's met with them, and then we went to the deputy chief, and he found that there were at least 3 accidents, probably many more that aren't reported because these are only ones that had damage. Anyone else might slide into the front lawn and then be able to back out and drive out. So
Is this, they slide in winter or they?
in winter and, low light conditions, things of that nature. So this is just to prevent any problem with the homeowner itself and increase the safety of their front lawn. So that project is $27,216. I added a $4,000 contingency for $31,216. And then the replacement of the guide rail on Lapham Road, the 2 sections on Lapham, the total is $68,609 with a contingency of $10,000 for a total of $78,609. Both are with Atlas Fence. They've done an excellent job for us in the past. The projects are under state contract, state bid. It's the reason why we went out for the one. And we'd like to move forward with both projects.
And these are in the budget, Tiger.
These are in the budget. Yeah. It's new 23 budget.
Any question?
Yeah, just a quick one. So on
Sure.
this photo, is that looking down towards
It's looking
Parade Hill?
down, it's to the left, that White House that's in the upper left-hand corner of the picture. That's the area there.
So it's just covering right in front of that person's
It's
property?
about
is that-
100, yeah, it's 120 feet long. So
So is there a sidewalk on that side of
no,
the-
there is not.
There's no sidewalk on that
No.
side. Okay.
Yeah, the picture doesn't do it justice. If you
Oh,
go out
no,
there and
I
drive
get
it, you can
though.
see it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No further questions. I move we approve the 6 and 7 Heritage Hill Road and Lapham Road guide rails as described by Tiger. One is both with Atlas Companies LLC. One for 31,216 and one for 78,609. That's expensive.
Wooden guide rail is expensive. Yeah.
Do I have a second
Second.
for the discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay.
The next is a continuation of the current contract that we have for our localized repairs. We usually do this in 2 tranches. So New England Paving's been doing an excellent job working through various areas in town. And we'd like to extend the contract for another $100,000 to top out at the $200,000 as we've done in the previous years. Like I said, they've done excellent work for us. We're starting now to have a situation where some of our roads that we paved are now being recut. And we're making it mandatory that if it's within this time frame, the utility is paying for New England Paving to come back in and take care of it on their dime, not our dime. So they'll come back in and patch it, and New England Paving will do the permanent patch. So we'll have it exactly to our standards, and it'll be on the utilities' responsibility as far as it goes on there.
So where are these repairs going to be made?
These patches are, this work is throughout town. Can't give you a specific area. They're curbing replacement, and then utility trench repair or localized repairs where we're starting to see some type of alligatoring of the surface. That's where you're getting cracks, both transverse and longitudinally. And we'll have them come in and take that out. Since it's just a small area of the road, we can better manage it, take care of it now before it becomes a larger problem.
Where are we big picture? It looks like Farm Road. That trail is almost done.
Farm Road sidewalks was just completed on Friday.
Yeah.
Looks excellent.
Look great.
Thank you. The phone call was from the contractor. He's milling the high school right now. So the 2 lots at the high school, and then we're putting in we're replacing the sidewalk behind South School. You approved that last time. That was New England Paving. They got 2 more days left back there, and that'll be all complete. The second part of our paving, as far as Cherry Street, VD, Cross Street, Ferris Hill, and Soundview Lane, excuse me, will be next. He'll be coming back to do that. He's got to leave to go work in Greenwich, and then he'll come back. So that'll probably be in the early September timeframe. And then we've got a couple of others that we're looking at. One to see if we can get the gas lines done. But again, we're still having a lot of call before digs come in for people that are on those new lines wanting to hook up. So I'm a little leery of paving and then having it recut. And then we have some parking lots that we'll look to do to bring forward at that point in time. One, namely the Waveney parking lot, the milled parking lot next to the softball fields and the soccer fields where the ice rink will be.
Mhm.
That'll be coming to you probably either next meeting or the meeting after to do that work. We just finished the survey work there. Maria just laid out all the grades. Now we're asking for pricing from the contractor to tell us what needs to happen there. And then once we finish that, we'll come back and finish the bump outs. Once he finishes some work he's doing in front of Saks right now, some improvements to the pedestrian flow for Saks. We're doing some work trying to put a sidewalk through the front island because all the kids shed out every single day and they come across that island, across the grass. They don't walk the sidewalk around, they walk straight across. So we're putting in a sidewalk through there. Once he finishes that, then he'll come back and finish the bump outs.
Did we get the bricks?
Not yet. That was my next statement, is once the materials are here. I'm hoping that by the time he finishes at Saks, I'll have the materials to finish the bump outs on Elm Street. We were
Okay.
promised 2 days, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and then it was 2 days, 2 days, 2 days. Now I'm hoping to get down to a day, and then eventually I'll get down to it. They're here. So
Tiger, can you just clarify for me
Sure.
so that I understand? So that the thing that you're asking for now for the New England paving for 100,000, did I hear you correctly to say this is actually going to be paid for by?
no, there's
Okay.
other work as well that since
Okay.
he's our preferred contractor, any other work that's coming in where they're cutting a brand new road,
Right.
we're making the utility pay the contractor
The utility
directly.
pays, this is on
Right.
top of that,
On
right?
top of that,
Anything
yeah.
that, okay.
Yeah, we had
got it.
we had 2 instances on Main Street that that just happened. At the moment we paved it, they had to come in and hook up newer residents who were here who weren't aware of the moratorium. At that point in time, I said, it's brand new. You've got to pay. You've got to come and pay our guy, not your guy, because our guy's better.
So who paid that? The resident or the
No,
utility?
utility.
Okay.
Eversource.
Just be curious for another topic, different meeting, but just how much have we converted over to gas in terms of this whole project, which I know has taken a number of years, but it'd be interesting to see how many have converted over at some
Good
point.
question. Do you have a ballpark on that?
Not off the top of my head, no. They gave me their saturation limits on all the roads that we had, and they had done quite well on the majority of them, were 50% or more. But I don't have an overall number in my head, but they have a spreadsheet for the number of residences and then the number of hookups and then what they consider their saturation rate. And I believe our overall average was above 50%, you know, and then and that's dated now because now we've been getting a slew more. So I would imagine that number will continue to rise
Great.
as we go forward.
The good news is we got every public building except for West School,
Right. West School will be on propane.
and we're, as you know, they've done.
Right. As far as that goes, they're done with the installation on Pine, Grove and Elm. They're complete. The work that you see out here now is just Aquarian water on Elm Street. And then the library is working on South Avenue at present to hook up their water lines. But once Aquarian is done, they'll be done within about the next month. Then we'll come in and repave Elm Street as well. And that'll be on Aquarian's dime to pave that.
Good.
So,
And then they're also coming into Waveney Park to do not only Lapham, but the pool and the paddle courts and Waveney House, surprisingly, at no cost. So
For the gas.
for gas.
Great. It's great.
So all that said, we do only got $100,000 contract for New England paving to do finalized paving repairs in various parts of town as needed. I move we approve this request from my Public Works.
Second here.
Further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
So before, Todd, are you here for Michael?
is it Glutty?
Why don't we jump to that so Todd can, because we're going to take a bit of time on the ARPA. So Tiger, stay right there. We're just going to take 1 second. Number 10, we'll take before number 9. Good morning, Todd. I can't pronounce the name very well.
How are you? Hi.
Okay, good morning. We had one last position for a promotion in the Parks Department. We had a part-time position, which John was able to put in the budget to go full-time. We had hired Michael Zigaletti back in August of 21 as part-time. He has worked out quite well. When we posted the position, he was the only one internally who applied. He has got experience as a groundskeeper, snow plowing. He's owned his own business, volunteer firefighter, and works very well with the crew. So we are here to ask to have him promoted from part-time to full-time. Todd, if you have anything.
Yeah, we'd like to add Mike to our crew. He's been a great asset to us, being part-time, hours are short, but he's done every task that we've asked him to do. Comes in during snowstorms, thunderstorms, anything that's, a callback or something like that with our guys. We think could be a good asset to our crew.
So he's a volley in town?
He's a volunteer in
Rowan.
Rowan.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Questions?
No.
I move we approve the request from Human Resources to promote Michael Zigaletti Jr. from part-time groundskeeper to full-time groundsman 2. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Have a good day. Now we'll go back to Tiger, actually, but I guess Chris is here for one of the items. This is a next round of ARPA recommendations. We actually have one more that I had hoped to have for today. We're a bit delayed. We don't necessarily have to vote on all these today because we have another meeting in 2 weeks before then, the September schedule for the Board of Finance and the Town Council. So why don't we start with the order in which they appear? IT.
Before we do that, can you just get an update? Maybe is this the ARPA list? Let's take a look.
That's on our tablets.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, go ahead.
Chris, good morning.
Yeah, we've asked for, we requested some ARPA funds for IT and the money would be earmarked for improving the cybersecurity, the security appliances, their end of life. It's a nice move right now if the town wouldn't have to pick it up in the budget as well to improve.
Chris, could you move over to that mic?
Improve our security that way.
Just so the
It's also
TV viewers hear you.
earmarked for improved education and upgrades of some of the software that needs to be done. And again, it's all based on cybersecurity, and a lot of this push is from our cyber insurance. They keep telling us what we have to be covered, or we pay more. So we have to stay ahead of the game with them. And that's what's really driving this. So it's well worth it. It's the investment we need to make.
And other municipalities are using their ARPA funds for.
Absolutely. We
Upgrading
researched that
IT.
prior to. Yep. So it's all legit and it's out there, but either way, we would have been coming to you for the budget. So this was a nice transition, not having to say, we're going to need X amount of dollars more this year because of it.
So you would have asked for this anyway. So.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Are these operating expenses or capital, or how do you describe them? I mean, some of these training
50-50, they'd be operating in capital. It'd be both.
so some are going to be recurring. Or they are recurring from previous
Right,
expenses,
yep.
and then others are one-time payments for.
Correct. We'll be
The
purchasing
firewalls,
some appliances on the security side, and that'll be a one-time purchase for the next 5 to 7 years. But there are even 10, but the reoccurring, the education upgrade. And we've already looked through all of this, so it's applicable to ARPA. But
We'll add,
It will be-
we'll add to the budget in the future.
right.
It will add to our, but I presume it would already be in the budget. We would have anticipated these expenses anyway. if
Right,
they're
it's just the
renewals.
increase in it because we have to now, there's upgrades to them that have to be done now that are again, the cyber insurance and the agents have come to us and said, you need to, if you're doing it this way this year, next year, we're going to expect this. So we have to keep increasing.
Cheryl, what happened with the Kerma stopped doing the cyber insurance
Right.
and we have a new outside insurance company?
Yes, we had to go back out. And value cyber. They looked at the Board of Ed in the town. That caused us to have to bring more programs and more training with our cyber insurance.
Happened to all the towns in Connecticut. Kerma dropped everybody.
I'm sorry.
I said it happened to all the towns and cities. Kerma dropped all their insurance coverage to private carriers now.
And how is that related to ARPA?
It's the funding that we need to get to it. That's the only way I can explain it.
We go to the town attorney for an opinion on items that are and
ARPA eligible?
ARPA
Right,
eligible.
right.
So, and actually, we started seeing that other towns were doing this. And we realized,
Right.
The thing with COVID,
Yeah.
we're having staff.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's brought up a lot of questions to what the answers we had, but we have to keep increasing. The entire state of Georgia used all their ARPA funds to do all of this. We've done a bunch of research to make sure that IT is covered, and it's one of the fields in ARPA that they're not worried about the reoccurring. They're worried about making sure we're secure now and we're going to be secure for the future.
You can use ARPA for pretty much anything. It seems to.
Is that right?
I
no,
just,
no,
yeah, I
there's,
mean,
no,
I've-
there's some things. You
Yeah,
can't.
there are limits,
It's
but
pretty, it's a pretty big one.
right. And it's how you read it too. And
If
that's,
you
that
look at
was,
this, I mean, it's just, I mean,
that was our concern going in and asking to making sure we qualified for it. But talking to all the other towns and cities that have used it, it's been passed unanimously to make sure
Yeah,
that they stay current.
Speaking, I was amazed to read this morning that the governor has just issued a restaurant bonus for ARPA funds across the state. Every restaurant is going to get a check anywhere from 7,500 to 49,000 or something. That's amazing.
I don't have a problem applying ARPA to kind of operating expense type. Yeah, I'd said a year ago, 2 years ago, that, I think the ARPA fund should be.
That was really the Board of Finance. Board
Yeah.
of Finance didn't want to use it for operating things. Yeah, because of the concern that if you start it,
Yeah,
then you're going to be obligated to add to the budget, and
Right.
they didn't
and,
want
and
to.
it's a yearly ad, so I get it.
But so this will be going to the Board of Finance anyway. They
Anyway.
may have the same issues. but-
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. But I think Todd, who's in, IT, will be 100% behind this.
I certainly 100% support, anything we can do with cybersecurity. I just don't know But
right.
the best use
Understand.
of whether our own funds, which we would be paying for this anyway, regardless of ARPA, I would assume. You would be in front of us regardless of the source of the financing, correct?
Correct.
So again, we don't have to vote on these today, but if you want to, we can move on to Tiger. And then thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Good morning again. The first item is trees, I believe.
Oh, FlexiPave.
FlexiPave? Oh, let's do FlexiPave first, sorry. I apologize for the delivery of the materials late last night. So we've been looking at improving the trail system at Mead Park, specifically around the Gold Star Walk, the Beautification League. I have members behind me of Faith,
Good job.
Faith and Jill are
Yeah.
here. They were instrumental in reestablishing the Gold Star Walk, and we'd like to see a more formalized path around Mead Park itself. The suggestion was to do that with FlexiPave. We had an upsurge through COVID, as you can imagine, through the parks. You know, our parks were the go-to place for Fairfield County, not just Waveney, but Mead and others, Irwin. So I reached out to the previous designer, Richter and Segan, to see exactly what the level of effort would be to design a FlexiPave path around the perimeter. Basically a horseshoe design. Since you have the parking lot on the southern end, you would have a horseshoe design around the pond. So it would start and end on the pavement of the parking lot. And then I reached out to the contractor who did the base installation at Irwin, and then Tri-State FlexiPave to get an idea of what the material cost would be for the FlexiPave itself. And that comes in basically you buy the material, they're the sole installer, and then you have to pay for shipping from Florida. So but in the past, Tri-State has done a very nice job of holding their price. So their original price that they did for Irwin back in 2007, they held for the past two installations. And I asked them whether or not KBI would do the exact same thing and hold their material price from our original, since we were probably the first installation in New England, and they've been using us as a
And how is that held up?
quite well. You know, we don't plow it, so that's a good thing, because if we plowed it, we would start to see some problem with shedding the material, actually scraping the material off. You have to work a toe in to try to see if you can get any of the material out, but it's been holding up quite well. There is some grass or weeds growing up through it, but that's actually weed seed that falls inside the material. Since it's porous, it falls in the holes of the material and then grows out from there. Foot traffic just kills it. So anyone who walks on it, the more people we get to walk on it, actually help us with any weed infiltration that's there. But overall, it's held up quite well. Tri-State FlexiPave has given us the material, more of the epoxy to put in. If we have a problem, we haven't had to use it yet. So I've got a 5-gallon pail of the material sitting. And if we need to do an area that's starting to see some additional wear, we can apply some additional epoxy on the top of it and basically seal the FlexiPave itself. But so I put together a number for what it would cost for the 2,000 feet of trail at either 6 to 8 feet wide, depending upon what the designer comes up with. Our standard sidewalks are 5 feet, but to try to make it a little bit nicer in a park, you'd like to go a little bit wider, say to 6 feet. And then 8 feet if we were looking at, making it much more expansive. So overall, I came up with a approximate number of $255,000. I added our contingency of 15% for $40,000, came to $295,000 and rounded that to the request of $300,000. That's where we stand at present.
Questions?
Tiger, can you just help us
Sure.
understand? So on this illustration here, is it the dashed lines? Is where the path be?
Thank you. The illustration itself is just basically showing what the Gold Star Walk was. I don't have a sketch per se,
I see.
but if you were looking at if you looked at the top of the page, top right-hand side where the pavement is, that's coming in off the entrance off of Park Street. So the trail would begin there at our pump station and then head northward over the 2 bridges,
Right.
past the Meat Park Plaza, and then come back southward along the drive and then wind up just at the outside of the wall next to the cherry trees, the 6 cherry trees that are placed in the parking lot there. So it's basically a horseshoe from south to north, down westerly, and then back to south again.
So all the existing trees, they'd be maintained?
All the
or-
existing trees we maintain. The thought is to stay away from them far enough, but then also provide a path. If you look on that eastern side, the condo side,
Mhm.
there's a desire line already there for people who are already walking the Gold Star Walk. It's already kind of the
Yep.
grass is a little bit difficult to grow through that area due to the volume of people. And then it seems like as they come across between the 2 bridges, they make their own path at that point. And then
Mhm.
from the bridge southward back, exact same thing. They make their own path through the trees and around the front end of the park, the front end of the pond. So there's no true desire line on this side, but also it's not a set of trees or, Gold Star Walk to walk along.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Possibly also including the small, I would call it almost a driveway from the Apple Cart over to the Bristow entrance, because that's a rough
Oh,
surface that
Yes.
Park and
So you're
Recreation
talking
Commission.
the access road that leads behind the baseball fields, which is now the second entrance to Bristow. That we're looking at trying to make it a little bit easier. And right now the aggregate size is a little bit large because it was an access road. We're looking at driving that down and potentially putting in flexi pave through that area as well. Since we don't maintain it during the winter, we could flexi pave it and make it a nicer entrance into Bristow itself from that side.
nicer in terms of being convenient for seniors and
Exactly.
people pushing
Better parking there anyway.
better parking.
Yeah.
Well, but again, the whole, this idea actually goes back 3 or 4 years, and we thought about it initially as a public-private partnership. We may still talk to the Board of Finance about making this a public-private partnership with neighbors, because the Bristow Bird Sanctuary has developed a lot of interest in Friends of Bristow to partner with the town. But this is really to make downtown more walkable, especially since there's so many condos and
Mhm.
in the neighborhood.
Mhm. Didn't we just approve something that from the parking lot and behind the ball fields to Bristow? I thought, wasn't that just a couple of meetings ago we looked at that?
You approved the phase 3 of the Bristow plan.
Okay, and did that involve the entrance
No,
from
it
the
did
back
not.
there? Okay.
It involved certain trail work throughout, but no, it didn't.
No,
work
that I remember, but I thought there was something also behind the ball fields that we were trying to improve that.
Well, the Park and Recreation
entrance.
Commission discussed it at their meeting,
Right.
that
Okay, maybe I'm remembering it there.
the need for
Okay.
improving the
And it's also a link on the Green Link Trail as
Right.
well. So that portion of that path is
Right.
on the Green Link Trail also.
Right.
So that's the other reason why to try to
But
upgrade
lots
it.
of folks are looking at that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Conservation Commission, Park and Rec, DPW.
I think the Urban Park FlexiPay was entirely donated dollars.
That was right. The base was not. The base was included because originally it was supposed to be asphalt, bituminous concrete. So the base layer was included in the original price, and then the material upgrade was entirely donated, fundraised through the Garden Club itself, and paid for. And then the subsequent installations were the exact same. They paid for as well. So because we did the initial installation around, then we did the one across the Great Lawn, and then we finalized the last piece on the southern side of it. So it was 3 installations, and each one was privately funded.
Further questions about this item?
Not here.
Then trees.
Trees.
We spent a lot of money taking trees down. We don't spend any money putting trees up.
That's correct. The majority of our budget is spent on tree removal. Unfortunately, we are in the middle of a disease on ash, and then we're also looking at a disease on our beech trees. So the ash trees will be going out even further in the next couple of years, and then beech will follow. So for this project, I reached out to the Beautification League, to the ladies behind me, and they had done back in 1999 a study on South Avenue, which they considered the South Avenue Relief Project, to try to plant trees up and down South Avenue. And they got from Cherry Street to Bank Street. That was phase 1. And then phase 2 was never completed, from Bank Street all the way to Waveney. So the thought is, as an anchor for a portion of this money for on the town roadside would be to reestablish any trees that have been lost in that time frame in the first stretch, and then establish trees from Bank Street down to Waveney. If you look along South Avenue, it's quite denuded. And then from there, look to other areas in town that we're looking at, other gateways in town that we'd like to beautify, or where we're losing significant tree cover. A lot of the trees that we take down are inside a canopied area, so it's not necessarily noticeable. But then there are some specifically along Ponus Ridge and other areas whereby when we take them down, it's noticeable. You can actually notice the fact that the tree is gone. So it would be nice to have monies available to then replant those trees. So all in all, with between the South Avenue project and these other areas that we'd like to start to reestablish some of our canopy, we were looking at $100,000 for the town roads portion, and then we were looking for an equal amount on our parks and properties. So town parks, and then any of our town properties that we maintain, any of the buildings that we have, or Irwin, Waveney, Mead Park, Bristow, any areas that necessarily are seeing a loss of some significant trees. We just lost a very significant tree down at the pond in Waveney. That's out to bid right now. That'll come back to you guys in the next 2 weeks.
I had to
we're
fight
working-
to get the Japanese maple replaced at Peony Walk. But we finally got the Japanese maple
We got the
replaced,
Japanese,
Who are you
right?
fighting?
Huh?
Who are you fighting?
the tree warden.
Was not fighting the tree.
Tiger.
We were trying to find a tree. That's not fair.
Well, they're expensive. I mean, the
They're
reality
very
is
expensive. The
normally.
reality
you know,
was that-
we lose a tree, say, oh, we lost a tree, you know.
We had to find money for that tree installation.
You got into another fight?
Well, sometimes you got to fight for this town because otherwise stupid things happen. So
So nonetheless, we're looking at a subsequent or an equal amount in our towns and town parks. We started to do some work in Waveney. The Plan in New Canaan and our sustainability committee got a grant for certain work in Waveney, but we're still losing certain trees throughout. So we're looking at wherever we lose a significant tree, or prior to losing that significant tree, we'll place something in its place. That's what we've been doing at Waveney.
So Tiger, is this a fund that you're looking to establish? I mean, is this something that the 200,000 would be spent in a year, or
these
is
funds
this?
have to be committed by December 2024. So, you know, we have plenty of opportunity with Waveney Park and other places.
So committed to actually planting trees, or just committed to a tree fund?
No,
That
we'll spend it in the next 2 or 3
you'll
years.
spend? Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't have any specific, this,
Right,
that,
right.
I have more specificity on the town roadside because of this relief project. And then throughout the rest of the parks and the town buildings, we have areas where we can certainly utilize this money.
You want to explain the relief project?
I did just a little bit, as far as along South Avenue, just trying to,
Yeah,
but the thought is to basically reforest or replant South Avenue. It's because it's our largest
Right.
gateway into town, right? So, and we have virtually no tree cover from Bank to Waveney.
And that was the Beautification League that
That was a beautification.
sponsored that, but we didn't finish it. We only did half.
Correct. For whatever reason, it died on the vine after the first phase. We'd like to redo the first phase and do the second phase. They have already been out canvassing the area, seeing the areas that should take a tree, and then what type of tree. And then we'll have to go to that's in conjunction with the tree ward. Then we'll have to go to the state arborist to make sure that it works on the state side, and then go through the permitting process with the state, since it's a state road. But if we stick with the right tree in the right place, I think it'll be a significant improvement along South Avenue.
And I didn't realize they don't like the idea of all the same kind of tree. It's better.
I
better
like diversity.
diversity is.
Yeah. Sometimes the elms in the elms in New Haven got an elm blight, and they all fed it to each other
Mhm.
from root to root.
Mm.
So it didn't go through, it wasn't a pest. It was something that came root to root because the roots were all combined. So it's one of the reasons why you want a little diversity, because if one gets sick, sometimes it sheds to the others.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Further questions about trees?
Nope.
Okay, that brings us to VFW. Mike McGlynn is here, commander of the VFW, and I just first want to give a little background here. There's been a lot of press about this item, and there was confusion because when Lauren Patterson was here at our June 28th meeting, she indicated that there were several applicants that were being returned to the town and several applicants that were being denied. And I understood at the time that the VFW was in the denied category as being not ARPA eligible. If I had known that, we would have discussed it on the 28th, or we would have agreed to have a further discussion about it. We have the application that was submitted to the Community Foundation. We met yesterday with Mike and Russ Kimes, who's the deputy commandant, what do you call it?
I'm having trouble hearing. So I'm not looking at emails. I'm adjusting my hearing.
You're the commander.
I'm the commander of the BFW.
Yeah, and Russ is the vice.
Russ is the senior vice commander, they call him. He's
Right.
like the second.
Former commander.
Yeah.
And so we had the discussion about what happened with 2020 and 2021 when they were unable to raise money with the sale of poppies and the donations. They'd done this program for wreaths and flags at the cemetery for years with private donations, and they clearly had a COVID exposure.
Sure.
And so I think it's pretty clear everybody supports the vets and supports the VFW. And so I recommend we move this on to the Board of Finance and the Town Council for their consideration. So,
I have a bit of a bias as being a son of a World War II South Pacific
me too.
veteran. So yeah, I mean, this is much needed and wholly supported.
Absolutely. It sounds like something that just slipped through the cracks, and this makes perfect sense, and we should go forward. So
Yeah.
this is an easy one to vote for.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you for helping us. We need the help.
Okay,
Thanks.
Thank you.
now,
So can I just, as a reset, because I'm just looking at this, assuming we vote on all of these things today, we will have about $1 million left. Tucker, 1022350, I think.
Tucker, this draft that you gave to me,
Exactly, because actually some of these have not been,
it's on our tablets, right?
yeah, it's the same thing.
Kevin alluded to, there's one more project that we plan to bring forward in a few weeks. So we don't know the dollar figure on that. So we're trying to ballpark that.
It'll be about 400,000.
So everything's been approved. So 4,012,650 has been approved by all town agencies, or does that include, I guess that doesn't include the town players because that hasn't been.
Exactly.
We met yesterday with the town players to work with them in terms of bringing forth a plan for their lobby expansion and the potting shed.
But that hasn't been approved by BOF or TC, right?
No.
right.
So that's the pending
Right.
number there.
Right.
Including today's. Yep. And when I put this together, what we talked about today was also pending.
Was it denied or just it's pending?
Pending. They just wanted more information.
Okay. Because we approved it right
Yeah,
back
right.
in whenever,
The date's on there.
January.
Right.
Okay.
And then we're going to still have a remaining amount. So anyway, we can either vote on these today or agree to vote on them in 2 weeks. I expect we'll have this other item, which we've been working on for several weeks with the YMCA. But we could vote on these 4 today and then, because they're not going to go to the Board of Finance until September.
Should we give an opportunity perhaps that folks know that we were starting to close down on the remaining
Yeah,
amount and giving an
it's-
opportunity to make presentations, or certainly of the size
Well, I'm
that
not
we've
sure,
seen
we're not
today.
looking to open up to additional applications to this point. I think the Board of Finance's attitude, if anything we don't spend, we will take into the, because we have coverage for the amount of lost revenues we
Mhm.
have. So
Mhm.
there's a sense on the Board of Finance that, if we don't have,
There's not a,
so we're not looking to reopen.
right,
the
although
pro-
these projects that we discussed today, they're new.
They're new only
Yeah.
because they've been, we had a list, but we still have a few items that we've been talking about since last summer.
Mhm.
Many items that were like, we talked about this 2 or 3 years ago, and it wouldn't be nice to have this. And, every year in the budget process, this is a nice to have. It's
Sure.
not. It's
Is
not.
there no more of those other than what we heard
Well,
today?
there's 2 or 3 left. I forget what the number is in the pipeline, but,
Okay.
I expect there'll be one more round in October. And I'm glad we took this long process to consider the various options, because it was, other towns like smaller paid a consultant to, plan out how to spend $40 million all at once. And we've taken our time to, but I suspect we'll have a little bit of,
It's been a good process.
it's been a good process.
Yeah.
I think it has been. It's
Especially
been
the community
deliberative.
Community Foundation, and also, when you see things like the restaurants getting ARPA funds now. Every
Well, if you
restaurant.
take into, how many, I mean, just the community foundation partnership where it's just $600,000. I mean, that was a lot of not-for-profits that received.
Yeah.
And if you
Look
look,
at the number. Was
How
it
many?
30?
33.
33.
so if you total these all up, there's just a lot of recipients
Mm.
for a lot of projects, which I think is a good
The one
thing.
thing we haven't done is give direct aid to individuals. Like the city of Stamford has programs to aid individuals, but we really couldn't figure out how to do that in Buchanan. So
Well, we did that with employees and teachers.
teachers and employees, correct? But that wasn't aid. That was really
Right.
more.
That was.
Thank you for.
Just bringing that up, maybe, has the Board of Education have a similar kind of
They
ARPA?
had $1.1 million to spend. I don't know how it's been spent.
So we don't have a similar kind of sheet like this?
No.
Okay.
They did it for enrichment programs, things to making up for
Okay.
educational losses for
Okay.
summer programs and stuff. I
Mhm.
believe, but I haven't seen any real accounting how they spent their ARPA funds. But, again, the discussion with the Board of Finance will be, are there things on the town side we'd like to do, like, IT wasn't really expected. until
Right.
We started seeing what others were doing. Or whether we'll just take it back into the general fund, because
Either way, you're gonna have to handle the IT. Is that what you said? Oh, take the what's remaining on the ARPA funds? Yeah, check.
$200,000 left
Yeah. Right.
again. But we're kind of running out of ideas.
And when, I'm sorry, you said, was it 2023, December 2023? 24.
Committed.
Okay.
So do you want to vote on these 4, or do you want to? I suppose we could, because I don't think we have any disagreement about passing them on to the Board of Finance and Town Council. And the other one, I expect we will have it in 2 weeks. We've been working on it for a while, and it'll be a very interesting project, but more complicated.
Maybe, I think I'd prefer to actually see them in total before going to the Board of Finance, but
So we'll defer vote for 2
Okay.
weeks. Otherwise, moving back to the agenda.
although I
contracts.
will say that the VFW, we do support that, so everyone knows that. I'm supportive of everything,
think
but
we-
it
I
just
think
see
just
the context.
For all these?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Contracts under 10,000. Any questions?
Did I? Oh, I just had one on the, it seems like there was a bill that was outstanding for about a year on the baseball infield maintenance training workshop. Did that workshop take place? We just haven't paid the bill. Is that what it was? Yes. Okay. That's all I had.
Anything? We're not approving these, we're just reviewing them. Okay.
Mhm.
That brings us to the end of the agenda, Selectmen's comments. I'm glad Michael Dine is here. I'd like to address Michael Dine's article from yesterday, which I'd actually like to ask for a retraction of, and I'll give you a letter. There were many inaccuracies in that article. But I just, we can have a discussion now. The town attorney who's on vacation sent an email saying, after reading the article, there's several things that Michael's simply wrong about. And he's happy to have an executive session with us to discuss the Marcados case in particular. Mimi's from the Marcados. But I want to point out, and I shared with you, I asked Josh yesterday to look at our
You're talking about the legal budget.
legal budget.
Right.
And when I started 5 years ago, I started at the level that my predecessor had the legal budget at $365,000 a year. I brought that down subsequently to 340 a year, to 310 a year. We've been at 310 for the past 2 years. We've never expended more than the Molasses administration did in a year. We never budgeted more. So, despite of the fact that I think if we went back and looked at the legal fees, we probably have a 25% increase for the past 10 years in the legal fees charged by our town attorney's office. I think, for Michael to point out a 32% increase or exceeding the budget is really lacks perspective on really what's been going on here with the town attorney. And so I will address this in a letter to Michael. Again, we can have a executive session with Ira. You're free to call Ira and discuss with him. He's on vacation in Cape Cod this week, but so those are my comments on the legal budget. I would also make some other comments unless you want to discuss legal fees.
I would just say, thank you for this information. I think one of the things I didn't understand is that 2021 was the budget 436,000 or was it 310? I see two versions of this information. So what the finance does is we take our original budget. Yep.
And then if we increase it in the course of the year, we have a revised budget.
Mhm.
The reality is the original budget was the budget.
Yeah.
Right. So in the case of
2021.
when we have CBA
Yep.
negotiations, like in 2015, was it? We went to arbitration with the police. That creates an expense that may or may not have been anticipated. So this can be kind of lumpy in terms of
Sure.
our actual experience. But anyway, again, I'll be happy to have Ira talk to you about these levels and the various items. For example, this year, the 830G thing was totally unexpected. And we're going to spend whatever it takes to defeat these projects because we're not going to urbanize New Canaan, as I said before.
Wasn't questioning necessarily the numbers themselves, but it was really the total amount and at what point did it make sense to consider a review of whether or not having an in-house attorney.
I actually discussed
Working.
that 4 years ago when remember we had what was her name that worked at Bircham? Gail. I actually discussed hiring her part-time because she was an experienced attorney who was,
Mhm.
I think, leaving Bircham. So if that made sense, I'd certainly pursue it.
Yeah.
But we actually, the talent that we get in employment law.
Oh, I'm not saying to give that up at all.
Can't possibly replace that with
Yeah.
an internal person, having spent my career as a general counsel.
Right.
We had 200 lawyers at Merrill Lynch,
How many?
200 lawyers.
200.
They all had a
Yeah.
different skill set.
Right.
And
Again, it was a general
You've got
question.
12,000 in my law firm. so-
12,000. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, anyway, the question is, at what point is the municipality consider,
I don't think a town ever makes sense. Cities, Stanford, but even.
at what size? Yeah.
Well, Greenwich is a city. We're up, right?
Yeah.
90,000 people.
But at what size does a budget sort of make sense to have a combination of outside counsel, in-house counsel? I don't know the answer to that.
Well,
This
my
is the question.
conclusion still is that it doesn't make sense for us. It doesn't make sense for Darien. Doesn't make sense for Westport.
Unless you had the right person. And it sounded like
Yeah,
a few years ago, it might want to, right,
Part-time person.
it was a
Yeah.
part-time.
One,
You
she had the skill set.
Yep.
She had the knowledge. She was semi-retiring.
get
Yeah.
the right person at the
You get
right
the
time.
person.
That's my point. Yeah.
But I
Okay.
don't know if it's worthy of just implementing a whole new position, in-house counsel.
Okay.
But I think we should keep our eyes and ears open if we see the right person come along, at least on a part-time basis, it would be probably helpful.
Mhm. Great. Thank you.
And then you have any questions? And again, if you want to have that conversation with Ira, you're more than welcome to. And I'll be sending a letter to Michael.
Kevin, would you be kind enough to comment? I have no further questions on that. Just comment on some of what of a timeline. We just had a gentleman submit some information, which we'll take a look at, but give us a sense for September and beyond in terms of reviewing self coverage.
Sure. Again, I made the point to the town council, you have to go back and look at everything the Utilities Commission did. Tom Teslick was a very his career as an investment banker at Lehman Brothers was financing self systems in Europe and stuff. So we had a person who was expert in the area.
Mhm.
And the only other person I know in town who is sort of expert in the area as a volunteer would be Keith Ritchie, who has a cell tower on his property and knows the economics of cell towers. But it's important we go back and look at everything the Utilities Commission did, how they came up with the strategy that you approved in August of 2016, which I fully endorse. 2017, the whole year was taken up by Aquarion's decision to not allow us to have the antennas on the Waveney
Yeah.
Water Tank, and Homeland Tower spent all of 2017 planning a cell tower at Waveney Park. When I took office, met with Aquarian, and they really changed their mind. So we don't have a cell tower at Waveney Park,
Mhm.
and they put the antennas back on the water tank. Anyway, the point is we have solved the northeast section of town. I'm pretty confident the northwest tower at Upper Ponus Ridge is going to be approved by the siting council. And we have to come back down to the west center and east side of town. And actually, for that matter, the north central part of town is an area that there's a whole big hole for cell service. And, unless we address that, there's people that aren't going to have cell service. But we need a cell tower on the west side of town. It's got to go somewhere.
Right.
If 47 acres, we, as I said earlier, we approached Country School, we approached the Winter Club, we approached the Land Trust, and Holman Towers approached the what's the name of the camp?
Playland.
Camp Playland. In the absence of and I'm not aware of any private resident that has more than 4 acres that would be willing to accommodate a cell tower. Someone, I think Joe mentioned, Don Carmel up on upper, what's the name of the road?
So why do you think that is, that there's a lack of interest in hosting the towers on the west side of town?
Again, it takes one resident who's willing to, but I just want to finish my thought about the location on the road that goes over Lost District. We can't tell the carriers where they put their towers. If they don't work for them, and they don't care about the geographic borders, they want to serve Stamford, they want to serve Darien, they want to serve, but when a carrier like Verizon, who's been very dormant in my view in the past 5 years, although I'm working with the Country Club, we're going to add Verizon to the Country Club tower. If we can get SBA towers in Florida to get off their butts and complete the deal, Verizon is in agreement, the Country Club's in agreement. But these things take time. It used to take 15 years to get a cell tower built. We brought that down to basically 5 years with Soundview Lane, and 3 years for Upper Ponus Ridge, and now we have to come back. The Utilities Commission recommended Rob that we do Irwin Park and the 47 acres behind West School, and that was for a reason. To my surprise, Verizon came back and wants to do that tower, has it funded. It's 43 feet behind West School. So unless, and by the way, the siting council process is designed to ferret out any other interest. So if anybody steps forward and says, I'll put it on my 5 acre property, I'm just not aware of that 5 acre property on the west side of town. And the Country School has lots of property, but it's much lower than our property. And, unless the people are willing to have a 175-foot tower, which is what the carriers would put up when you go down as low in the valley, end of Llewellyn would be a location on the other end of the 47 acres, but you have to have a 175-foot tower there to make it work. So
all this is great. Thank you for
Yeah,
that. And
so
so
the
the
point-
idea is, how do we
well,
disclose all that information, have a
Ray's
public discourse?
Ray's going to come back
coming back? When?
early September.
Okay.
Doug Lamonti's done the review with of the proposed lease. The economic terms are our job to
Yep.
work that out.
Mhm.
I met with with Keith Ritchie as an advisor on the terms of that lease, and we'll talk about that
Okay.
coming into September.
Okay.
But then we have to move it forward to the town council, because only the town council decides where to lease property.
And you're right, the Utilities Commission did make those recommendations. Quite frankly, there was massive political blowback for that. And and presumably, we could see that happening.
I'm not going to play
Again.
politics with the safety of our residents or our first responders. I mean, this is not a political question.
I don't think we need to have.
We need a
that
tower on the
decision.
west side of town. We need a location.
Okay.
And we have to find a location. Just as
Presumably we'll be discussing this in more detail in September when people are back.
We need community
Yeah,
involvement.
I think so.
we're.
Even having a special meeting for purposes of
Just on this
discussion,
topic.
just on this one topic
Absolutely.
alone.
Yeah.
I'd be in favor of that.
So
Is Top Tesla still in town?
he moved to Manhattan.
Yeah.
I fully support the strategy.
Yeah.
It's just that at the time, Rob was, and you were unwilling to list locations. So that's why we didn't sign the lease we have with Homeland Tower as a master lease. You decided to do individual leases for locations.
Correct.
So. But that was, September, October, November. will be-
Okay, so if we can put out a timeline, that'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Just to communicate that.
And otherwise, I wanted to mention that the health department will be addressing monkeypox on Thursday with the weekly update. The state of Connecticut is rationing vaccine for monkeypox, and it doesn't appear there's any pandemic.
Good.
Prospect with monkeypox, but it's a serious, painful disease, not deadly usually. So. And also, I wanted to mention, we had a meeting, very good meeting with Silver Hospital 10 days ago to review the first appointments they've had under our Buchanan Urgent Assessment Program. They're very excited about the program. It's very interesting that people are a bit away on summer vacation, but as we come into the school year, we're looking to again, they promise an appointment within 48 hours with a team of Silver Hospital personnel to diagnose, analyze a problem, and then make a referral to a provider so that people don't get lost in the system, which they're currently getting lost. So
Yeah, that's a good thing.
we're looking forward to that being a successful program. And that, again, that was funded with ARPA dollars. We're working with the Community Foundation to begin a fund, because this will not become a town supported project entirely. If the Community Foundation can raise a fund to continue this, and we'll learn a lot in the next 6 months or to a year as to how this is going to work and what level. I still hope Darien will join us because they need it as much as we do. And if not, Wilton, Superintendent Wilton is in favor. So it just makes sense to have a facility that's in our backyard.
Right. Yeah.
Be a great program. I think that's all I have. Any comments?
Just one, Vine Cottage is looking fabulous. So I don't know when the actual planned move, or if there will be a move.
There will
but
be moved.
There will be move. Okay.
There will be moved back.
And time, but look, just kudos to the fellows who have done that, and looks great. Really makes a difference.
Does.
Want to sell it?
I want it to be best utilized property that we can. It's just, it's an iconic,
It is iconic.
yeah, and it looks great. So,
It's not in the historic district, but it's in the immediate adjacent property to the historic district. And when we did try to sell it, we said it has to be sold with a preservation easement. We will not let that property.
yeah, I don't want to sell it, but I think it looks great. And I'm glad that we made the investment. I'm just curious, is the health department considered being moved back?
Oh,
at some-
definitely.
Okay. When
yeah.
about?
I mean, they like being in a park.
They don't
They
want to
do.
come
I
back. I can
know.
tell you that.
I know that, yes.
But it makes more sense for the town to have everyone adjacent, and we still need to figure out a use for Irwin House.
Sure.
Um,
I don't think we should sell Pine anymore. Now that it's painted and it's
if we
being
get an
used
offer,
by the.
we can't refuse.
I don't think we have to put it on the market, though. Thank you.
It does look good.
It does look
Yeah.
good.
Any comments?
Nope. Good.
We will, motion to adjourn at 9:42 a.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll get that money over to you right